So these are two big options. Shut down 1 day a week, laying off 120 people, $10 million, or some combination of concessions, shutdowns, layoff. These are things we need to talk about. This is the pain, this is the inconvenience that we need to converse with each other upon. Now, very important point. The budget does not include the 3% cost of living adjustment. That was not a policy decision. That was simply an arithmetic decision. We presented a status quo budget. If we're going to add that back based on negotiation, based on conversation, that number that would give a 3% COLA to the firefighters and miscellaneous staff would come to $5.2 million. So that if we put that back in, we've got to find an additional $5.2 million. That's out there, that's clean, that's clear. So you're looking at $10 million to $15 million in terms of whether or not you want to talk about a $37.4 million deficit or a $42.6 million deficit. Those are the realities. But the COLA is not in there, and I want to say publicly, it was not a political decision. It was a budget. We had to deal with putting a budget at a time of great deficit. Now, let's go to the LAD. As I indicated earlier, $23 million in anticipated expenditures, $18 million in revenue. We have to close a $5 million gap. That's going to call upon us to close down 46 positions, 34 field positions. That will probably cause, because the LAD, that's going to create pain. It may very well mean closing down some small parks, compromising the integrity of maintenance in ball fields, parks, other recreational facilities, terminating people. Now remember, by a narrow margin, the residents of Oakland actually passed the LAD, which would have given us $12 million in revenue. But because of a Supreme Court decision, Oakland and other cities that did it the same way are not permitted to go forward. So we don't have the $12 million, which means we have to deal with that $5 million. Pain, discomfort, all right? Those are the immediate, that's an immediate issue. We also, as I said, lost $8.5 million passed through to the state in redevelopment agency. That means that that's $8.5 million of locally derived revenue that is now passing through to the state, which means these are projects and staff that we cannot go forward with to the tune of $8.5 million. Simply stated, for us, that's a $8.5 million cut. That's an impact from the state budget. I think there are probably going to be other ripple effects beyond that, to the county, to us, et cetera. But that's certainly one that we see. Now, let's move then to the structural issues. I talked about this practice of carrying over negative fund balances in a myriad funds. The city council, in its wisdom, did call for repayment schedule in a number of these accounts, I believe 6. At least 4 of them, those repayment schedules were adhered to, and 2 of them, they were not. There are a number of other funds that have negative fund balances. That's an incredible drain. It's not the way to do business, and it needs to end. As I said, the magic's over. And we need to be able to communicate to the residents of Oakland and to our bond raters that we understand that we're not playing these kind of games. Everything's open, above board, and transparent. So we did, in this budget that we will be presenting, take $9 million of one-time revenue to close the negative fund balance in 2 funds, $5 million in the LAD and $4 million in the capital fund. That's where those $9 million went. We have recommendations and plans on how we address the negative fund balance in a number of these other funds. That will be very specifically addressed in the next budget cycle that we're going to have to enter into in the next couple months. Much too much to absorb at this particular point. We're absorbing enough at this juncture. But we are coming with recommendations with respect to how we deal with these negative fund balances. As again, thirdly, we've got to come with a strategy on how we address the 4 future issues that I alluded to, okay? So that's where we are. I want to say to all of the workers here, and for those of you who are not here, communicate to people. And I have said this, and sometimes strongly to some of our residents who from time to time want to demagogue public servants as nameless, faceless people, to say to them that, look, I know that the overwhelming majority of people, the 5,000 workers who come every day to work, come with dignity and integrity to serve the city of Oakland, okay? We cannot do this job without you. So to visit Payne is not easy. If you ask me, would I like to be here visiting Payne? No. But I have broad shoulders. I only have one ambition. Let's try to get it right. Let's try to do our jobs, okay? So we've got to deal with what it is we need to deal with. To my colleagues on the city council, as I was saying, the most powerful statement we can make to our residents that would give them confidence in the integrity of our government, would give confidence to our bond raters, is that we come together and speak as one. This is not an adversarial situation. In moments of crises and difficulty, it requires the best in us. And that's what's going to be required of us as we move through this as a total community. Now, let me conclude on this note. I started off at 35,000 feet talking about the $700 billion and its impact, the problems that it was attempting to address and its impact upon Oakland. I believe, my friends, that there is another impact that we haven't even begun to feel, that I think will visit Payne upon us in the next budget cycle. I'll tell you why. 5 days ago, did anyone in this room think that we had $700 billion? Magic. $700 billion bailout. We didn't even know $700 billion on the table. When we start talking about health care and education and greening the cities and finding employment, people said, you want to throw money after a problem? We don't have the money. But suddenly there was $700 billion. Now think about this. If you take $700 billion off the table, and I'm not talking about the efficacy of the program, but that's another conversation, another debate. But if you take $700 billion off the table, and you add to that an Afghan war, an Iraqi war that was all off budget, and between $1 and $2 trillion budget deficit, and everybody saying, I'm going to cut taxes, where's the money going to come from to pay for things? I served in Washington 3 decades. I know what's going to happen. Budget cuts, and what will get cut? Programs for the vulnerable, programs for people who represent constituencies that are viewed as powerless, the problems that we as mayors and city council people have to deal with every day. So what I'm saying to you is that on the other side of whatever happens in Washington, we are going to be affected by the priorities that are the result of that decision. And what I'm saying to you in a very honest and straightforward manner, my wife calls me the eternal optimist, but I am at this moment not optimistic. I do not in the near term see the help coming that addresses the problems we live with every single day in the near term, all right? That's just stark reality. We can't get around it. So it behooves us to address this moment, as painful and as inconvenient as it is, with integrity, with honesty, with civility and forthrightness. because it's only going to get worse in the near term down the line. If we put it off today, it's just putting off more pain down the line. So we need to face it, confront it. So that's my comment to you. We engaged in a very serious deliberation. We said we would do it in 6 weeks. We did it. These are the results. We have immediate problems. We have structural issues. We have future issues to deal with. We are laying out recommendations in all of these areas. Some of these matters will be more specifically dealt with in the fund imbalances in the next budget going forward. Thank you very much.